A couple of years ago, when developing the district calendar that would require a later school start date for the school year, we also garnered interest in changing school day start and end times. A majority of our over 900 respondents to that survey showed an interest in changing high school start times specifically. And as a result of this feedback, we developed a compass goal to develop the school start times task force and research options for a shift in school start and end times during the school day. That work began for us last March. Next slide, please. Today, you will hear from 4 of our school start times task force members in order of their presentation. We have Ellie Volkman, Lindbergh High School student, Scott Luchek, Lindbergh High School athletic director, Matt Seeker, elementary, middle school, and high school parent, and Patty Thomas, Truman Middle School teacher. At the conclusion of their presentation, we can answer any questions in order to provide the clarification that helps you in making a decision, which we will bring back to you at the May board meeting. So at this time, I welcome Ellie to join us. Next slide, please.
Hello. Beginning with the end in mind, the School Start Times Task Force devised a plan to end with the most logical and effective proposal possible. We knew we needed to empathize with those who are currently affected by school start times, define the problem, come up with ideas, and develop a prototype. So that is what we did. Next slide. The most important part of solving any problem is understanding what the problem is. We began our research by empathizing with everyone affected by the school starting times, students, parents, and staff. We wanted to understand all aspects of the issue at hand before making any decisions about how to solve it. After the research, we developed a list of necessary improvements for the community regarding school start times. We need to improve sleep patterns. We discovered that for every 2 minutes of later start time, 1 minute of sleep is gained. And although this doesn't sound like a big deal, it definitely is, and it adds up. High school students are definitely not getting enough sleep, especially with the expectation to be involved in extracurriculars and participate in high-level courses. Our sleep is typically the first thing sacrificed. This lack of sleep can be detrimental to many different aspects of the students' lives. I can also attest to this. With a later start time, we would also increase academic outcomes and have a positive impact on safe driving. It's also important to note that other districts have implemented later starting times and have seen positive outcomes, and no studies discussed in the overview of research indicated a negative outcome for students when moving back start times. Next slide. The next step was to prioritize. We developed another list, we like lists, that outlines our priorities for creating a proposed solution. Number 1, efficient bus routes. We needed to ensure school-specific transportation issues were addressed in school schedules, for example, the Concord bus timing. Number 2, extracurricular activities. With the schedule right now, there's a substantial amount of downtime between the end of school and athletic games that leads to several other issues. We also need to ensure that practice and club meeting times would not be pushed too late into the evening. Number 3, secondary ends before elementary. We needed to ensure that this happened for transportation and supervision reasons. And number 4, Flyers Club staffing. We needed to ensure that Flyers Club times will allow for possible employee recruitment and retention. Next slide, please. So this is the final proposal. It is elementary from 8:55 to 3:45, middle from 7:45 to 2:45, high school from 8 to 3. And because we were in the process of testing bus routes, we sent these proposed times to the community for feedback in the survey, which will be discussed later in this presentation. But we did clarify that the times could shift 5 minutes based on transportation if it required more time. And one component of the elementary proposal was also the expansion of the school day by 10 minutes from what it is currently. This additional time aligns elementary instructional time each day to what happens at the middle and high schools already. So thank you, and now I will turn it over to Mr. Luchek to discuss the testing process.
With any change, there are challenges to be anticipated. Sperry and Truman share buses with the high school. In flipping the middle school and high school times, we discovered some possible timing issues with the bus routes. Test runs were completed to address these concerns and make adjustments to allow buses to be more efficient. With a major adjustment in districts such as start times, it was essential to get input from the Lindbergh community. A survey of students, parents, and staff from our elementary, middle, and high schools was conducted to provide data and feedback about making changes with district start times. Within the survey, the majority were in favor of not only making the proposed change, but also instituting it for the 21-22 school year. Next slide, please. There was a very strong showing of respondents in the Hanover survey as individuals from elementary, middle, and high schools took part. Across the district, there was a good representation with a mixture of students, parents, and staff that participated in the survey, totaling 3,627 individual respondents. This gave the task force a pretty clear picture of how the district feels collectively. Next slide, please. Within the survey, participants were asked if they would prefer the current schedule and/or the proposed schedule. 58% of the respondents found the proposed schedule appealing, as opposed to only 38% for the current schedule. If you add in the neutral responses for these two questions, the totals would be 70% that found the proposed schedule appealing and 60% for the current schedule. At this time, I will turn it over to Matt Seeker to discuss the preferences of timing for this change to take place.
Thank you, Scott. We discovered that the data overwhelmingly showed a preference to implement the schedule change in the 2021-22 school year. In fact, 90% students were in favor of making the change in 2021-22, and 93% of parents and staff were in favor of making the change in 2021-22. Drilling down in the data at the school level for timing again shows a remarkable preference to implement the schedule change in the 2021-22 school year, with 90% of elementary, 89% of middle school, and 95% of high school favoring the implementation of the next school year. Next slide. While students, parents, and staff are affected by the change in school start times, ultimately, the reason for the change is the benefit for our students. The student feedback we receive bears this out, with 75% of students seeing a positive benefit to their sleep schedules and 69% benefit in the impact on their academic performance, with parents and staff also acknowledging benefits in these areas. We also examined positive benefits to morning routines and method of transportation. These also showed agreement across students, parents, and staff on the positive effect of the start time change in these areas. Next slide. Although the overall response was overwhelmingly positive, there were some areas where concerns were raised. 60% of Lindbergh staff were concerned about the impact of later school end times with existing afternoon and evening activities. This was more pronounced with the staff at the elementary level. Some students at the high school expressed concern that the later end times would negatively impact their activities after school, causing them to start and then end later than normal. We discussed these concerns and believe we can alleviate these concerns in a couple different ways. For the elementary staff, our suggestion is to modify staff contract times to help alleviate this concern. Since making the final recommendation, we got clarity regarding the high school students' concern with their after-school sports and activities. Scott Luchak indicated that any impact would be minimal and possibly only to practice start times. Game schedules have already been modified due to other districts such as Rockwood implementing school start end time changes. Next slide. As we plan these changes, one of the areas where elementary families expressed a need is childcare. In fact, 39% of elementary families feel this change may require access to additional childcare. Some of this concern may be alleviated with the final recommendation, as the end of school times for the middle and high school will still allow older siblings to get home before the elementary schools are dismissed. We're also collaborating with Flyers Club to support these families' potential needs for before and after school care. Thank you for your time, and I will now turn our presentation over to our teacher representative, Patty Thomas.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much, Matt. As you see, with over 1,000 different middle school and high school students respondents, we found that the Hanover survey results showed the majority of student responses were actually positive for a later school start time. This feedback was very important to our task force to see the student's perspective and the student's opinion in terms of a later school start time. Next slide, please. Now, the district has used Hanover several times as a third-party research company. And based on the results from this survey, we have recommendations from Hanover. With over 36,000 respondents, Hanover recommends these start times actually begin next school year for the 21-22 school year. And due to shifts in the school times, we actually see that Hanover recommends that we expand child care options for our families. We need to make sure that we have positive communication with our families and our community to make sure that they understand the why and the reasoning behind these particular recommendations. Next slide, please. So based on all the survey results in the various meetings from our lovely start time task force, it is our recommendations that the changes be made to the elementary and middle school and high school start times. As you do remember, the original middle school proposed time was from 7:45 to 2:45. Now, this time change did have to shift a little bit because of adjustments with the bus routes. So the middle school and high school will continue to share buses. And when we take the buses going from the two middle schools and merging them onto the one high school campus, the bus company indicated that they needed a little bit more time. So in our proposal, we actually will not recommend a change to the middle school start time, and it will remain as is from the 7:40 to 2:40 time. Based on the survey feedback, we also recommend that we implement these school start time changes to begin next year for the 21-22 school year. Next slide. We just want to thank you so much for listening to our proposal, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to work with this lovely task force to come up with your school start times for next year.